Welcome to the NatureSpot website. I'm going to give you a quick tour of the main features. If you're not logged in, then you will see a reduced range of options. The menu will be shorter. So I'd recommend that you create an account. It's very quick to create an account. It should just take a minute or so, and it's free, of course. So the homepage is the main platform for exploring all the different features on the NatureSpot website. NatureSpot has two main functions. One is to display information about all the wildlife that we have recorded in Leicestershire and Rutland. And secondly, to encourage the public to submit records of the wildlife that they've seen. So if you are interested in recording, then watch this video and then you can then watch the second video, which explains in a little bit more detail about how to do that. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about the galleries that we have on NatureSpot. If you scroll down on the home page, on the right hand side, you'll see these image galleries. These will take you to a page that has photos of every species that we know of in the county. Although we only focus on Leicestershire and Rutland, most of these species can be found across much of Britain. So even if you're not from our area, hopefully you'll still find it very relevant. So I'm going to just pick one as an example. I'm going to pick butterflies. Let's assume I've seen a butterfly in my garden and I want to know what it is. So I'll click on butterflies and it will open up the butterfly gallery page. There's some information at the top which tells you where you can find additional resources, various websites and books and so on that will help you explore more. In particular, will help you with identification. So you just scroll down and you start to see all of the images. What we've tried to do is to display images that show both the upper wings and the lower wings, and if there is a difference between the male and female, where we can, we will show both. The whole purpose is to try and help you identify a species that you've seen. And we've also grouped them by families, so similar species should be found together. So, for example, all the white butterflies can be found in that group. So I'm going to now assume that I've seen a butterfly that looks like this one, the peacock. And so I'll click on that. But just before I do, I just wanted to point out these little camera icons in the top right hand corner. These signify the identification difficulty of that species. So if it's green, then the species is quite distinctive and you shouldn't confuse it with any other. If it's amber, then you have to be a little careful because there are others that look similar and you just have to have either a good view of it or if you've taken a picture, a photo that shows the right part of it or the right features. If you come across a species that has a red icon on it, then it's saying that it's very difficult, if not impossible, to identify it just from a photo. And it's often insects and small creatures that require examining under a microscope. But the peacock is a green rated species, so let's click on that. It's easy to identify because of those prominent eye spots on the wings. So when you get to the peacock species page, like all the other pages, it has this description at the top, tells you a little bit about how to recognize it, where you might find it, what time of year, and also a little bit about its status, how kind of common or rare is it both nationally and locally. And then you get a range of photos. We do try and include also caterpillars, but we also have a caterpillar gallery separate to this that only displays all of the caterpillars of both butterflies and the similar looking sawfly caterpillars. And then below that, we have maps of the two counties that we cover, Leicestershire and Rutland, and then on the right, a map of the UK. Now on these maps, you'll see lots of coloured dots refer to records that are being collected by NatureSpot. Where you'll see the squares coloured yellow, that means there are other records, and these are held by the National Biodiversity Network, which is the UK's national repository for all wildlife records. So basically, you can see here every record that we know of for the peacock, both locally and then if you look right, nationally. And if we keep scrolling down, you get a little bit of information about the status, kind of an analysis really of the records. We've got over 500,000 records on our database, so it allows us to get a bit of an insight into how this species is doing over time. So you can see here the graph is fairly steady, which would suggest that this particular species is doing okay. Unfortunately, that's not the case with all species. And then below that, these are all the latest records that have just come in to NatureSpot. Uh, we encourage people to submit records with photos so we can kind of confirm the ID. And so the photos get displayed here, and below those we have a list of who's recorded uh, that 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 entry and where it was seen. So you can see it goes up pretty much to the current day. So there are lots of species for you to explore. What I'm going to do now is just go back to the home page. So in this little box here, you can see that we cover over 8,000 species. Each of those has its own species page, like the peacock one we just looked at. You can find them all via the galleries, but you can also put the name into the search box here, and that often is a quicker way of doing it. I'm also going to now tell you about another key feature, which hopefully will be of interest, which is the wild places. These are areas within Leicestershire and Rutland that have some wildlife interest, and they include parks, nature reserves, often small bits of land too, like verges, anywhere that's got some wildlife interest. And we've got over 500 featured. You can find them on this menu here. It's just a drop-down menu. Just pick the one you want and then press go. Or you can go to this map page here. And this is quite a useful way of exploring the whole of the county. You can zoom in and pretty much go to wherever you live or go and look for a site that you know of. I'm just going to pick one. So this outline here is Bradgate Park. So I'm going to click on it and it will then bring up the details below, and I can click on the header and it will take me to the page for Bradgate Park. And here I can see a little bit of information about the site, how to get there. Often there's a little bit of detail about the kind of wildlife highlights. And then below that, lots of images of what's been seen there recently. And a bit like the species page, you can get a list of all of the latest records. But the other thing which is quite interesting with these wild places, there's a second tab here, the species tab. If you click on that, you get a list of every species that has been recorded in Bradgate Park or whichever site you're looking at. And you can download that list if you want. You can see here not only a list of species, but also when it was last seen. And if you want to visit the species page to look in a little bit more detail, you click on this little link here. You can search this link if you just wanted to, for example, look at birds. We could just put birds into the list and then click outside of the box, and it will then sort the list and just show us the birds. And then you can also sort them alphabetically just by clicking on the links at the top. So that is one of the interesting features of NatureSpot, and it's there for you to explore as you like. Related to that are the parish pages. They work in a very similar way. They describe a discrete area, in this case, a whole parish, but they show all of the records for that parish. And you can find these in this drop-down menu here. Incidentally, if your parish is not on that list and you would like to see it, so just get in touch and we will have a look at how it might be possible to add it. So on the home page, there are lots of other things. There's news stories. There is a list of events down here. But the other thing I wanted to just quickly point to is the Explore page, because what this is a tool to help you look in detail at the records that are being collected by NatureSpot. So it can be quite an interesting way of exploring, for example, what we know about a particular species or a particular area. So this map you can zoom in and out of, and all the different squares basically relate to a record that's been submitted. Some records have different grid references, so they have smaller squares. But if you click on any one of these squares, it will then just bring up the records for that square below. So this is where I live, so there's lots of records from me, but one or two from other residents in the village. And we could zoom out and explore a bigger area if you want by clicking on a bigger square. You can also search for a particular species, or you can also look just at your own records on this filter here. You could select it to choose just my own records. And that's quite another useful way of seeing what you have submitted and where that is. It will map them all out for you. So there are quite a lot more features on NatureSpot. If you've got time, you can have a play on the different menus. The menu list at the top gives you a little bit more detail about help pages and how to do this, that, and the other, and also some contact information if you want to get in touch with NatureSpot. If you are willing and want to have a go at recording a wildlife sighting you've seen, then you would just click the Submit Records. And to do that, I'd suggest you watch the next video.